Hi guys, welcome to Learn Tech from Zero. Today we will be covering further CompTIA Security Plus topic. So let's begin with today's topic, which is non-repudiation. Today we'll be covering another security concept, which is non-repudiation. We'll try to keep it as simple as possible. So if you want to read in greater details, you can go to learntechfromzero.com and you can read them in details, and at the end you can practice quizzes like 10 multiple choice questions to test your knowledge. And also you can leave a comment if you have any questions or if you have any feedback, and we will happily reply or get back to you. Okay, what's non-repudiation? Non-repudiation is a fundamental security concept that ensures a person or system cannot deny having performed an action or transaction. In simple terms, it means there is a proof that an action took place and evidence showing who performed it, and no one can claim later, I did not do that. So in simple terms, it means it records the system. Any device will record if someone does something. So if you send an email, if you do something or on using a device, if you take any actions, if you make any changes to a file or do anything within a system, the system will ensure, or they will keep a track of the person who did that. So this is how we can confirm that, okay, this system or the user did that action, and they cannot deny that later on. And how this is proven? This is proven using different technologies and concepts we will be covering in very shortly. Before we do that, let's just see if there is anything else to explain. Why it's important? Because it maintains trust, accountability, legal validity in digital communication and transactions. So it's important because you can trust that information, and there is accountability. Someone can't say that, oh, I did not do that. And the next thing is how non-repudiation works. It works using different mechanisms: authentication, integrity, logging. So mechanisms is like different technologies that we use. Authentication is when someone logs in and they have to verify their identity using password and ID, or multi-factor authentication using an authenticator app or SMS or email code. So that's authentication. Integrity is another technology that we will cover later on, and we have also covered a bit of information about integrity, where we use the hashing technology to prove if any information has been manipulated or it has been changed. This is we will cover in greater details later on, so don't worry about it too much. So what are the technologies that goes behind non-repudiation concept? So if someone does something, how can a person or a system cannot deny that they did not do it? The first method is digital signatures. So when you do something, your computer or your device, it will use the digital signatures within its systems. You don't have to digitally sign that yourself. It uses the digital signatures within the system itself. So we will cover that later on. So using digital signatures, it confirms the sender's identity and data integrity. When we say identity, it's the person who is doing it. And when we say data integrity, it means that if the information has been changed or manipulated, we will know. How we will know that, we will cover that later on. Also, we will be non-repudiation also uses the concept technology, which is public key infrastructure, which manages certificates that we install on devices, and encryption, keys to verify identity. So encryption is like when you have public and private key. So you normally use a private key to decrypt a message that's meant for you, so you can read that information. So PKI, public key infrastructure, we will cover that later on. So it's too early to explain you in details. Encryption asymmetric. So it's a part of PKI infrastructure. We will cover that later on. So encryption is asymmetric encryption is it has a public and private key. So you normally encrypt the message with the public key, and you can only open a message with a private key. We will cover that later on. And also, when you send an email, it uses the technology called SMIME. So it uses the signature or proof that you have sent that email. So it uses the system signature and other technologies. But we will cover that as well in later on. System log. So every time you do something on a computer, mobile device, or anything, it logs that to the system log. So any changes, anything that you do on a computer, there is a log services, and you can find all the logs or anything that happens in a device using the log information. Access control list is something to do with the networking, where you can use switches and routers and firewalls to control who can access what. So this is some more to do with the networking. So if you're interested in networking, and you can try our other courses like CCNA or Network Plus, where we will show you how access control lists are done and how it works in real life. Timestamp is related to logs. So log is basically whenever anyone or anything happens on a system, it logs it. It saves that information. Okay, this person did this to, and it happened, and the end result is this, etc. And timestamp is like when you have timestamp with the log. So when you have the date and time associated with every action. So these are the systems, digital new systems or the technologies that we use to confirm non-repudiation. So a person cannot, or a person or a system cannot deny that they did not do it later on. All right. So relationship with other security principles. So we have other security principles that we have already covered, like AAA, CIA, and etc. So it uses different security principles as well, the concept. Like for example, authentication confirms who the user is, required for accountability. So you have to, when you access a system or a device, you have to authenticate yourself to log in, and basically that proves the accountability, like who logged in and who has the access. Integrity, we use the hashing technology. We will cover that later on. It ensures that the data hasn't been changed. If the data has been changed, we can find out with the hash value. So there will be different hash value. We will cover that later on. Confidentiality protects data from being read by unauthorized people. So a system should not be accessible to other users. That's why we have the authentication. And confidentiality is where a certain people should only have access to certain information. Not everyone should have that information. So different security concepts are implemented in non-repudiation. You don't have to know too much in details. You just need to know what non-repudiations are, and how what and if and what are the technologies that are being used behind non-repudiation concept. Accountability. Non-repudiation ensures that users can be held responsible for their actions. So yeah, if anybody does and make any changes, everything is logged. So it's easy. You can find out like who did what, or if anyone made any changes, or basically a person cannot deny that they did not do it later on, a person or a system. So let's not just go into too much details here, because non-repudiation you don't need to know too much for the exam. So let's just try a few questions to actually understand the non-repudiation concept. So the first question is, what does the term non-repudiation refer to in cybersecurity? As I said, that a person or a system cannot deny that they did not do it. So this is what non-repudiation is. So ensuring data is encrypted during transmission, no. Preventing users from denying their actions and communications, yes. Ensuring data remains confidential, yeah, it's a part of non-repudiation, but it's not the non-repudiation itself. Verifying that the data is backed up regularly, no. So it's basically the whole concept of non-repudiation is that a person or a system cannot deny their actions. So the answer should be B. Which of the following technologies is most commonly used to provide non-repudiation in digital communication? So symmetric encryption, no. The actual encryption that goes behind non-repudiation is asymmetric encryption, and then digital signatures, yes. Password authentication, no. Firewall rules, no. So the answer should be digital signatures. It's right there. So if you go through the details, so it's one of the technologies: digital signatures, public key infrastructure, encryption asymmetric, not symmetric, just asymmetric encryption is the part of non-repudiation. So the answer should be digital signatures. All right, let's try two more. So how does a digital signature help achieve non-repudiation? So how does a digital signature work in general? By encrypting all network traffic? No. Digital signatures, it basically proves someone's identity or a system's identity. The verify To verify the sender's identity and data integrity, yes. By blocking unauthorized users, no. By providing confidentiality for stored data, no. So this should be the answer. Yep. All right, let's try the one last one. Which of the following is required for digital signatures to provide non-repudiation? So you need digital signature is a part of public key infrastructure. So this is the main boss, you can say. That's the main concept, and that the main technology, and digital signature is a part of it. You can see managed certificates and encryption. And digital signature is a part of public key infrastructure. So the answer should be, which of the following is required for digital signatures to provide non-repudiation? Yes. Network segmentation, no. Network segmentation is like VLAN, subnetting, etc. Access control list is using routers, switches, and firewalls to block ports and IP addresses. And no. Net configuration is I completely forgot what's word. Net configuration is so net configuration, network address translation, is basically when you use this technology for public and private IP addresses. So it's a different concept. So the answer should be number 4. Correct. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I will be happy to explain. Non-repudiation is something that you don't need to know too much in details for the exam. You just need to know what non-repudiation is, um, and the technologies behind non-repudiation and other security principles behind non-repudiation. And that's it. And you can try the multiple choice questions to practice your knowledge. So thanks for your time, and I will see you soon.